to forget that life's a game, but shit, I did it too, no, we all to blame. But it's never been the same since I learned the rules, since I got the tools and I dropped the fools. I saw the snakes and fakes and the hate that they make, the pain that they take, I just pray they awake. We may play the same game, but we do by different rules. Got a few I choose to follow, but my motto is the truth. Through the movement, commandments, solutions to the madness. My motive is decoding life's laws like mathematics. Found the blueprint schematic, showed me flow is automatic. Spit romantic semantics and then get back at it. Gotta have it. That's the first thing I found out. Why drop the clowns out and show them what I'm... Hey baby, it's me. Wait,
Avery.
What?
Focus.
Whoa. What? Oh, are we live?
We're live.
Where am I? Is this No Bob's Allowed?
Yes.
Oh shit.
Where the hell are we?
Oh God. Well, okay. I suppose that's an appropriate time to, in the hopes of full disclosures for the listener, I suppose I should mention, technically, I'm probably still on mushrooms. But, minha porra, this is No Bob's Allowed. Welcome one, welcome all, welcome crew. Welcome Tyler. How are you doing?
I gotta be honest, Avery. You're looking kind of delicious right now.
I thought you were looking at me some kind of way.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's a little bit concerning. I saw you you brought salt and pepper into the studio, and I really didn't know what to think about that.
I mean, just a nibble. Just a nibble is all I need.
What are we talking? Like a thigh or like a breast?
Maybe
I don't
like your
know.
arm.
I need that.
Okay.
To be honest, last night I was tripping pretty hard. I chewed on my own arm.
What about one of your fingers? You got 5 of them.
What's in it for me, man? We got to make a deal.
I don't know, man. You're just.
I don't know, dude. You
so
should just go get a
good.
burger or something, and cook up some fresh
I
veggies.
guess.
Have some raw foods. Don't eat me raw.
Man, okay.
Okay, are we cool?
Yeah, I guess we're cool.
All right. I can keep my eye on you though. Leo, man, what are you thinking? I'm glad last night you did not try to eat me, so I appreciate that.
The subject of today's show, cannibalism.
Leo just cutting right to the chase.
That's it, dude.
Yeah.
Straight up, man. I'm thinking about it, man. I think it's gonna be good for my diet. Like I talked earlier on an episode that I was having problems with my stomach, and my doctor said it's because I'm not having enough raw human flesh.
Did I ever tell you guys?
That is an issue.
I was listening to a podcast about how I think it's in like Thailand or something where they actually do serve human flesh, and they were talking about how they were like, I might want to go like try that sometime. And I'm like, yo, you want to go eat a human? Okay.
Oh my God, that makes me think of Liberia. Like Leo, you were talking about. What was the situation where did you just say like you were talking to a girl on Tinder and you said you talked about how in Liberia they carry like dried women's vaginas in their wallets for good luck.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And you said she didn't hit you back.
Yeah, no.
Shocker.
No, she...
But I mean, really, that's really showing how good of a dude you are because you do not carry any dried vaginas in your wallet and you've never eaten human flesh. I think.
Absolutely.
Right? Am I right? Or you said the topic of cannibalism. Is this personal experience?
You know, to be discovered.
Well, this is gonna be a preview for what today's show is about. On the topic of cannibalism, today we will cannibalize one of the members of our show, and stay tuned to find out who that will be. Da-na-na.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, before we get into that, considering the things that I've put into thought in the past couple of days, there's a segment I wanted to introduce. It's gonna be more of a discussion because this is kind of more of a prompt of just the things I've been thinking about recently. So I want to talk about the idea of on surrender. This was first introduced to me through Eckhart Tolle and the idea of letting go of one's ego and not letting it control you. Like in a way, kind of what we talked about on the Zeph episode of wear your clothes, don't let them wear you. Have ownership of your own life. Don't let anything control that. So I wanted to talk about what does it mean to you to have self-ownership? What do you guys think about that? Because that's what I was thinking about. You can tell I'm still a little goofy. I've been thinking a lot about that. What does it mean to you to have self-ownership, Tyler?
So for me, self-ownership is just continue. Well, in the context of what we're going to be discussing, it's the way that we're all adults here. Just like, I guess, man up and keep pushing because times get rough, but you just gotta keep going, man.
God, I love you, Tyler. Like, I can't help but to quote The Godfather here. Carelessness is for women and children. It's not a luxury that men get to have.
Not in today's society, man.
Well, I don't know if in any,
For
like,
well,
I'm going to give some
for
quotes
anybody
from
in today's society.
yeah, that's true.
Women, children, men.
Yeah.
You can't be
Yeah, that's
messing
interesting,
around.
I guess. But I don't know. There is a certain youthfulness to carelessness that's why we want to protect our women so that they can maintain that.
Ideally, yeah,
Yeah.
but it doesn't always work that way.
That's why we get them off the boats first and we go down to the ship. I'm crazy. Okay. So the main reason I wanted to talk specifically about on the idea of surrender is, if the listeners remember, at the end of episode 3, the second episode that Joe appeared on before he became intern Joe, at the very end, there was a clip that I edited in to be the end of that episode that was actually probably an hour after what the listeners would have heard, because me and Joe talked for a long time. And we ended the episode on this idea of surrender. And I said that I would like to get to a point in my life that I can say that without connotation. And I'm finally there. And you can tell there's a bit of hesitance in my voice, but I'm finally ready. Leo, what do you think about on the idea of self-ownership?
Self-ownership is responsibility. It's being responsible for one's actions. It's being accountable for the things you do. It is something that cannot be changed about you, in terms of that, you go through this life like this object that's just bouncing around some weird space, and there are things that happen to you on daily basis, and regardless of the situation that you're in, you can choose to accept, to own up to it, own up to whatever is happening in your life at the moment, or you could just choose to become unaccountable and let your life circumstances overpower it and overtake you, and at that point let whatever is happening to you own you, which is not you. At that point, you don't own yourself. And that's what I think self-ownership is, in my opinion, is regardless of whatever kind of shit anybody's going through in their life, as long as they maintain, I don't know, I don't even want to say maintain control.
Maintain integrity, I would say.
Maintain integrity.
Maintain trust, because that's a big component
trust.
of it for me.
Everybody loses control. Nobody can maintain control. There's no such thing. But you can maintain this single quality that can allow you to have self-ownership
and to help others cultivate that.
If I just wanted to add, it's almost better to let go of control, because many times whatever you're trying to control, it's not going to work the way you want it to. So just step back and just go with the flow, I guess.
It's being flexible, exactly.
Yeah, not trying to grasp at things, not reaching, taking right action.
Right.
On the topic of right action, I just wanted to bring up one more thing. Leo, you probably will connect with this, and specifically I think Joe will connect with this. Talking about the idea of breaking success barriers and crossing the indifference threshold. So this is something I've been thinking about for coming up on goddamn near a decade now. It's crazy, I'm almost 28. Leo's already 28. Good luck with that.
Already here.
Survived it this far. But breaking success barriers is something that I encountered when I was in college, and it's the idea that your own mind, because of whatever you've been through in your life, will often create barriers to your own success that seem self-protective because they protect you from rejection. However, ultimately, it is the success barrier that holds you back, not actually what's on the other side, even though it may feel that way. And I just wanted to share this one quote, that the midway point between total belief and fear is indifference. And a big portion of what I'm doing here at No Bobs Allowed is crossing the indifference threshold in my own life, that I can express myself authentically and know that people will connect to it without needing total belief or falling into fear. And I really think that's something that everybody should contemplate, because I don't know how many people really have had to put thought into that, especially if they're at a younger age in life.
Would you agree that indifference is self-destructive?
No, I have it in the connotation of surrender, in that indifference is, even if it doesn't go perfectly, even if this episode shows my faults, that's okay, because that's the purpose. That's the journey. That's how you achieve total belief. That's how you actually get reference experiences that show you that you can be your best self.
I would agree, and it can also only get better. The more you go at it, the better you're going to get. So if you go into it with indifference, it's just to get your foot in the door. Really.
Yeah, just because it's better than fear.
Right.
Because fear, it will always hold you back, but indifference to fear, it's like what they say, bravery is not the absence of fear, it's perseverance in face of it. Mushrooms are terrifying. So am I.
I've heard.
Let's talk the aquarium real quick. Leo, do you want to say a couple of words on Popeye, could you?
My goldfish has died recently. I've had Popeye for over 2 years, and he was just one of those, like, fish who was, like your closest buddy. He'd let you, like, pet him sometimes. You could put your hand down in the aquarium, and pet him, and he's been one of the best pets I've owned. Unfortunately, he ended up going belly up a couple of weeks ago, and I got to replace him as soon as possible. I still just haven't gotten around to it. There's a lot.
You have gotten the aquarium,
but I've gotten the aquarium. I've had
it's
it
still in the box. It's been sitting in your living room in the box.
Still in the box.
Even though, as Logan saw last night before he left, happy birthday to Logan. We're recording this on his birthday. A huge shout out to him.
Happy birthday to Logan.
I blame him for the intensity of that trip, because he's that goddamn dirty Aquarius, always creating new life and helping us let go of the past. So I blame him for everything.
He's been a part of the ride.
So he saw this box sitting in Leo's living room, and he just started cracking up because he thought it was so comical that it was sitting in the cardboard box. Well, there was a big sticker on the front of it that said, "Please remove from box." And there's so many reasons that's hilarious, because why is there any need to please remove from box? It's like there's no rush. And beyond that, an aquarium is something that's made to be looked through. So to have it covered is just so counterintuitive. And once we looked closer, I saw in my addled brain at the time, I looked closer and I saw that what it actually says is, to display, please remove from box. And this just hit me in a certain way of, that is the way to become unstifled, is to remove the box that you have put over yourself for fear of being judged.
To display, please remove from box.
To display, please remove from box.
I can understand the philosophical concept that you're bringing up here, but on an offside, I have to bring up the comical element that they put, caution, your coffee's hot. Because, like, somebody got sued some days, so it's kind of like, yes.
Oh my God. Are you indicating that they're making sure that you don't put your goldfish in the box? So he gets no sun and he can't see out because it's still in the cardboard box even though you filled it with water?
Pretty much. If you're trying to have a goldfish that's going to survive and blossom, you have to please remove from box to display, or to display. Yeah.
Yeah.
But essentially, yes, caution, your coffee's hot.
Yeah, in case you didn't get that coffee's hot.
Unless you're getting cold brew. I guess these days it's kind of,
the hipsters really fucked up all the rules.
Yeah, so
caution, cold coffee.
Yeah, you got to put that on now. So
yeah, because somebody could get brain freeze.
Yeah, I don't understand how they can,
and then they'll sue someone. They'll sue Starbucks for a brain freeze.
How do they get away with cold brew not having a caution that says it's cold?
Yeah, what if you don't know? What if you think it's lukewarm brew? You could get hurt, seriously.
Exactly.
This is so no Bob's allowed. Just absurdism at its fucking finest. Speaking of which, Tyler, kudos for finishing The Stranger. God, I would love to talk to you more in depth about that, especially what we were talking about in the Zeph episode about religion. There's so much going on there with that, because it's crazy that it's only like a 200-page book, but that that book had an effect on me before I even read it. Like, it just by it existing has opened people a lot.
Yeah, and I'm actually gonna reread it here shortly.
I should too.
There's a lot
A
like
lot.
is in there, and I feel like I miss like a lot, but I also, I mean, I got a lot out of it, so I'll definitely talk to you about it. And
Yeah, that'll be some bonus content in the future discussion.
Bonus content.
Bonus content.
So I just wanted to dedicate this episode to Popeye, and I asked Leo earlier if that was okay, because you mentioned that you would potentially like to have a funeral for him, and I would like to attend that if at all possible.
He will die in a blaze of glory.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Kerosene.
Kerosene.
Or fireworks. Like, oh my God. I don't know. That's kind of sick to stuff a dead goldfish full of fireworks.
Have you not buried him yet?
No, he's just chilling.
Oh,
Literally.
To display,
yeah.
please open box.
Okay.
Chilling in the, in the fridge.
In
the beer fridge.
How did I know that? Oh, wow.
Literally chilling.
Oh my God.
In the freezer.
Jesus. Literally chilling. Well, speaking of things that are kind of chilling, I have a quote here from the Hagakure just to close this section down before we move into Bob of the Week, just to make sure that it's indisputable that when we're saying anything that could be hurtful, it's coming from a place of love, and we really do want what's best for all people that interact with us. So, a certain person said, "In the saint's mausoleum there's a poem that goes, 'If in one's heart he follows the path of sincerity, though he does not pray, will not the gods protect him?' What is this path of sincerity?" A man answered him by saying, "You seem to like poetry. I will answer you with a poem. As everything in the world is but a sham, death is the only sincerity." And again, chilling, kind of bleak, but it's, I think in the 21st century context, it could sound dark, but in the reality, it's trying to explain the art of Bushido, which is at the core of the way of the samurai, which is what the Hagakure is written about, which is Bushido is the art of living as if one's body had already died. And I think in the 21st century context, it's much more important to think about as if the ego had died, as if the power that other people hold over your physicality is irrelevant, and you can move beyond that, and then you can be completely free. I guess it's surrender.
I actually kind of took that the wrong way then, because when I was thinking about that, I thought that meant that like we're all gonna die, so like kind of like the whole like YOLO kind of like mentality to it. Where,
oh my
like,
God! Like what would be like 14th century Japan YOLO?
Yeah, like I mean, we're all gonna die, so you might as well get out there and do what you want, because on your
I guess that
deathbed,
too.
I don't know.
It has more of a connotation of the way they explain it is the samurai is he who jumps into the jaws of death with no hesitation.
Yeah, so
Maybe, I guess, hey, shout out. No Bob's allowed. You heard it here first. 14th century YOLO. That's what we're all about. No Bob's allowed.
I have my own kind of unique perspective because I am in this unique situation.
God, we all have catchphrases now. Tyler booming.
But yeah, in this unique situation, it is the concept that you just mentioned, Avery. You get so you get so bonded. I don't know if that's the right word. You just get trapped into these like responsibilities in life, in the things that you choose to do. Pick your career. Pick the people that you associate with. So to relate that concept that of having your body, die, it's essentially it's living in a sense where you're not bonded to a job, and you're not bonded to a person, and you're not bonded to family. You have ultimate free will, where you're only bonded to yourself. And unfortunately, with a lot of what society preaches, it's like, yeah, pick a career, But yeah, when you pick a career, it's like, oh, guess what? You're gonna be their bitch now. You know, maybe
Yeah,
you're
you've
gonna
sold
have
your soul.
yeah, you've sold your soul. Maybe you're gonna have a career that's gonna require that you work. You know, if you're working salary, you're gonna be working 60 to 80 hours a week. Maybe you're gonna have a career that's going to, you know, drug test you for silly fucking things like weed. You know, you're not you're not living in a way that your body's dead. You're living in a way that your body's very much alive.
It's like the, not to interrupt you, but it's like the idea of run towards, do not run away. Like move towards the things you want, don't flee the things you fear.
And in order to achieve like what's a lot of people would consider success, you have to sell your soul. You have to sell your body. You have to sell your daily decisions. You have to become a Bob.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to become a Bob.
In
a
whatever way it is.
Bob. Fucking Alex Stratilatov.
Wow.
Yeah.
But for many people, that's life. But it doesn't have to be. And that's really, I think that's what my purpose is. That to tell people that you don't have to. There is another way. You can be you, and you can be proud to be you.
Yeah, but most people are going to be like, you absolutely have to. You have to conform. You have to, you know,
But
become this. So
that's
somebody.
the indifference threshold. That's the fact that you have to break that success barrier, because the test is that they tell you that you have to. But all you have to do is say no, and then it's done.
But the ultimate consequence of saying no is failing at life, being a loser.
Dying in your mind, literally allowing your ego to die.
When literally you can be more of a winner when you are a loser, as long as you have a personal drive and a sense of self-purpose, when you have allowed your body and your ego to die. You know?
Just like that photo you showed me earlier. That was a beautiful photo. Bespredel, chuvak.
Bespredel, you'll have to remind me, which photo was that?
Oh, all the broken glass.
Oh.
Bespredel.
Oh. Oh, shit.
Это уважаю. Live through your own intentions.
Man.
No one can take that from you. So this is getting a little bit heavy, so let's reel it back a little bit. I want to close this section before we go into kicking a Bob like we usually do. Nice little like aggravated assault, get him on the ground, like everybody kicks him together. But then you pick him up, and like any good mosh pit, you pick him up and you kiss both his cheeks, and you bring him into a hug and tell him that he doesn't have to be a Bob. But if he is a Bob, he will be treated like one, with no pity. Mercy, but no pity. I just wanted to close it on the idea of prove it. I was thinking about that a lot last night, and prove it. Don't tell me that you love me. Prove it. Don't talk about it. Be about it. Whoever you are, whatever you're doing, prove it. Does that come across right, or does it sound just fucking insane? You get the idea? Like, don't tell me how to be happy. Give me an example of what it looks like so I can believe that it's real.
Prove it.
Prove it. All right, let's prove something here. Not only will this be the Bob of the week, this will be the Bob of the season, and I will fill the listeners in on something that I think we mentioned on episode 1 and never referenced again. There is an unreleased Halloween episode that was originally going to be, I believe, the 3rd episode, or the 4th technically, because we did the 2-parter with Joe. And ultimately, we ended up not releasing it. In the future, maybe we could do something with it, but it had some production issues on the front end. But the relevant point here is that because of those production issues, we declared the 3 of us to be Bobs of the Week, Tyler, Leo, and I. And we accepted the responsibility of it not being an identity thing. It's just that we did some Bob shit. Like, literally, I messed up the chords, and, like, the shit just didn't record. Like, it was not great.
We bobbed out.
Yeah, we bobbed out. And we can admit that. And that's an important thing to grow forward. You can't be afraid to be called names. Like, just get over it. Prove it. Like, if you're not a Bob, prove it. That is why we have selected the Bob of the season and the Bob of the week to be Intern Joe. And we have done this because I gave Tyler 2 options. If he is behaving out of line with what we stand for, we have only 2 options. we may either ask him to leave the show, or we can make him Bob of the Week and Bob of the Season, because he was our first guest of Season 1, and he was one of the last episodes of Season 1 in which he became Intern Joe. So he has been on the journey of Season 1 with us. And this is why we dedicate the Bob of the Week to him, because we wish him to stay on this journey so we do not have to disassociate ourselves.
This is very interesting. My whole the journey of me knowing Joe has started with the episode 1. In fact, I think that is the first day I met Joe.
You had met him once before at the house.
Not episode 1, but like episode 2.
No, but episode 2. But I remember on the episode you mentioned that you had met him previously.
Oh yeah, like
at the house
years before.
Yeah. Just in passing.
Yeah, in passing. Just didn't even remember, but briefly ran into the guy earlier. But yeah, I suppose we've started with we started No Bob's Allowed essentially with Joe on that second episode.
Yeah, and even on the episode he mentioned that, and he talked about this on the Intern Joe episode, that he and Tyler had wanted to start a podcast, but it never panned out. But with me, it did.
Back when we when we had that refrigerator running in
oh my god, yeah, way back in the background snake days.
We had no idea what static even was.
Oh my god.
What
I think the computer's running a little bit into my mic, but at this point, like I care so little about anything on that level that's even, it's kind of endearing because it has that grittiness to it still.
It's been a journey.
So, Tyler, I want you to take the floor here because it was you who nominated Joe for Bob of the Week. Well, I mean, you at least you communicated to me that his behavior was significantly affecting you on a personal level. And beyond that, it was affecting your ability to be authentic on the show. I mean, more just like your ability to do producing on a week that he was becoming a drain on you. Well, you can clarify all of this.
So, I guess to start things off with, initially, I just wanted to not allow him on the series finale and just end it there. But then we kind of worked around our whole...
And we considered having him on this episode here for him to defend himself. But he, given the choice, without even knowing that it would be a fucking gang beating, he decided that he did not wish to be on the final episode. And that alone is enough for my nomination.
Yeah. So how deep do you want me to dive into this? I mean,
as deep as you wish.
Okay. So
No Bob's Allowed.
Before, when he was still living in Madison, this was 2015 or so, I had initially hooked him up with a job at and he liked to call in a lot, and it got to a point where, they just got fed up with it, and he could sense it. So when he was talking to the bosses, he was like, "Do you just want me to quit?" And they were like, "Yeah, you might as well, because you're not even showing up anymore." And time went on, and I was hoping things would be kind of a little different this time, but recently he was calling in a lot again.
The same behaviors from 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I should say that when we all moved together,
you moved
I
him
reintroduced him.
Well, even
to
more,
the job.
The reason, I don't think we clarified this exactly, the reason why he came down to Madison from Stevens Point is because you got him a job and you got him a place in your apartment, literally in your room that you share with him now.
Yeah.
You got him out of a crappy situation.
A very crappy situation.
Brought him to a much better place. Surrounded him with friendship.
Yeah. So got him the job. He started to do the same behavior again. Noticed it. Okay, so he did one no call, no show, and then Friday it was 25% my fault, but he also just didn't, even if it was like a voluntary day, he still decided he didn't want to go. So texted him, basically,
well, I'll give you what you're asking for.
I'm taking this as you're quitting, so
especially after a no call, no show.
Yeah, so don't even bother using me as a reference.
You give him a job. Jesus.
And I have talked to Joe about this, and I guess I'll kind of put in my 2 cents about this right now. I don't know if we want to. Yeah, I'll just go into my 2 cents right now. So the way I see it is, as long as he has some sort of plan, I'm cool. It's kind of what we were talking about earlier, the whole like prove it mentality.
Exactly.
As long as you know what's best for you, by all means, do what you got to do,
Because
man.
especially, we all have problems. I just want to remind everybody that there's nobody in the world that doesn't have problems. But move beyond it. If you really have something that's troubling you, do something about it. Prove it. If you want to be better, prove it.
Who doesn't have problems? Jim Leahy from Drag By Boys.
Yeah, with the people they love, or who doesn't have one too many drinks sometimes.
Ends up passing out in their driveway with their pants down.
Pissing themselves.
Pissing
Oh
themselves.
God! I have a great story in St. Petersburg where I woke up in the garden outside. Like my roommate tried to wake me up, and I just yelled at him in Russian that it was too hot in there.
Who doesn't have problems?
Especially us. Like, I don't know. Like me personally, I can admit that I have problems. But that doesn't define me.
Right.
So sorry, not to cut you off.
So basically, I'm to the point now where I'll just wrap this up quick. As long as he has a plan and he can and he goes through with said other plan, hey man, like it's cool. Like I just hooked you up with a job, like
Yeah.
to like get your foot in the door.
We
in
make
Madison.
no demands. We just want you to be trying to be your best self.
Right.
Sorry, I'm continually interrupting.
And but if you go back to like not doing anything with your life, dude, you're exactly in the same spot you were in Stevens Point. So what was the point to all this? So that's kind of my
because me especially, I just feel like I'm betrayed, I guess. Like because I tried to do right by you, and I feel as if I didn't do enough, and that's not the right way to think about it. Give somebody your all, and if they don't want it, they don't have to take it. So I just wanted to make one note here. My philosophy on this part of the episode is, I've said this to many people. Tell me what you think, though, Ty, because a lot of people say this is a bit too harsh, but this is really how I feel. Unconditional love is disrespectful to the people that deserve it. What do you think about that?
I think that it goes back to just so like a lot of parents out there will give their child unconditional love even if they keep fucking up, and at some point you got to be like, hey man, you're fucking up right now. Like
in their interest, you have to
grow up.
Yeah.
At some point you grow up, and at that point unconditional love is disrespectful because then you're treating somebody like a kid.
Yeah, it's juvenile.
Well, and it doesn't teach them to grow. Like
No.
they're gonna think their behavior
just
is
gonna
okay,
stay a kid.
Yeah, perpetual arrested development is the state of a lot of people in the United States. This is America. People are coddled
I
here.
did not understand, Avery, how much of you were trying to communicate with that show.
Oh yeah, this is America.
But yeah,
Life is very easy here for a lot of people, so they never grow up. Perpetual children.
1.25 population is what, generation retard?
Oh God, that's a thing in its own right. Leo, could you just talk for a second though about your relationship with your mother? In that you said that her love was notably conditional, and it's what made you a man. Am I correct in thinking that?
My mother was a deeply passionate, loving woman, but I would be lying if I said that. She is the greatest and the best mother anybody could have in the world, but absolutely, because she has made our relationship very clear, in the sense that we come from a miserable situation and we had to rely on each other for survival for a good, amount of my childhood. And yes, my mother has made, the conditions of our existence very clear to me, because she had nobody else to rely on.
And if it weren't for her, you would have no one to rely on.
Exactly. I had to be a man since I was 7. Hey, time to grow up.
Life is cold. That's just how it is.
That's harsh. It is.
But that's what makes it beautiful, to have joy in spite of that.
Funny enough, though, I'm like in reverse childhood state now, because I'm in my late 20s, or I'm supposed to be, growing up, and I don't know, I could have had a kid by now or something, but I'm in this like reverse state of responsibility where now I actually have the resources, and because I had to like assume this position to be therefore to be a man, or
for to be a man,
for to be a man at an earlier age, I'm kind of like repressed or regress,
even more. I don't
whatever.
know. It's not necessarily that, because what I see in you is a preservation of that childlike wonder that I think a lot of people that have went through what you did might have lost. That's just pure
enjoying
joy.
life. Joy.
Exactly. Radost. Joy.
That's it.
So I want to close this segment because we got to talk about cannibalism. Although I think everybody can kind of tell why it was relevant here, because we have just cannibalized one of our members, but now we will all build his skeleton. Yeah, Rip Joe.
In a loving way, though.
Of
I mean,
course.
we're only doing this.
Okay,
to,
of course. And
yeah.
this is why I want to end it on this note, because it makes it very clear why we did not abandon him and we did not kick him off the show. And we had to do this to make sure he knows that we care about him. And although this is no Bobs allowed, friends do not leave friends behind. And we will keep him with us for as long as he wants to be. But when he's showing us that he doesn't want to be, he does not have to.
All Bobs will be left behind until they want to be on board.
Exactly. But the door is always open. That's I don't want to mention it too much, but it's the idea of tit for tat. Like, it's I treat you the way that you treat me. I am the mirror. If you are good to me, I'll give you everything I have. But if you're bad to me, you get nothing.
Well, that kind of goes back to the whole why I'm not super upset with the whole
it's not
job
personal.
yeah, it's not personal.
Exactly.
He's still a good guy towards me.
Of course, he's still our friend. He's still my best friend.
I'm just
I
again,
love you
we're
too,
just
Tyler, and Yulia,
I
of
love
course.
you guys.
But yeah,
we're just trying to look out for him and just try and not have him fall back into like certain ways.
Yes, because we, especially I respect the best within him, and that is what I want to see, and I will accept nothing less, because I accept nothing less for myself, and I hope that can inspire anyone to do the same. So let's talk about these fucking crazy cephalopods. My lord. Okay. Tyler, you found this article, so do you want to do the introduction to it? I love this so much, especially that, like, considering my experiences yesterday and today, it's just so relevant. I just love it. And we talked about serotonin on the Madison episode. Oh, God, it's just so perfect.
Okay, so I'll kind of do, like, the introduction to this, and then I'll, if you want to, because you're usually better at summarizing than I am. Mm-hmm. So after we got done with the article episode, it was about 2 weeks ago, well, I guess like 4 weeks when this episode's going to be released. I was like, oh man, that was so much fun. Like, I love talking about like the dude who sued his parents for his porn collection, and like the the ass, or how the dude injected mushrooms.
Oh God, what great article.
I know.
Where do you find these? Yeah, and talking about cordyceps like cannibalizing ants and growing out of their heads. Jeez.
Oh, I saw that one, or I actually stumbled upon that too.
Yeah, that's once we start getting into like the weird nooks and crannies of the animal and fungi kingdom, you realize that it's important to dilate your perception and realize that although humans are amazing, dolphins talk through goddamn telepathy. Literally, there's so much more going on than meets the eye, and a lot of people are so stuck in their daily human lives that they can't appreciate that it's not all about them.
Yeah, well, man, animals are crazy.
Fucking especially cephalopods.
You ain't kidding. So after that episode, I was kind of like, I'm going to go find some more crazy articles, and I stumbled upon a study of scientists giving octopuses MDMA. I will pass it on to Avery.
So the methods of this study was that they created a 3-part enclosure and put an octopus, male or female, in the center chamber, and they put a toy on one side, meaning a little stormtrooper action figure, and on the other side they put another octopus. So they were in the center, and they had a choice to go to either side, and they studied which side they gravitated towards and how much time they spent in each. And before the introduction of MDMA, MDMA meaning, wish I knew the actual like methamphetamine. Ty, if you could find that, that'd be cool. Related to methamphetamine, Molly, ecstasy. That's what most people know by ecstasy.
Shout out, a quick shout out to Tommy Cash, Lil Molly.
Oh, also
Check out that video.
Shout out also to LJ Ecstasy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Radist. And so they found when MDMA was not introduced, this specific species of octopus were highly asocial. They really did not interact except during a very specific mating period, in which later they found that it was certain chemicals released in their brain that released the inhibition specifically for the mating period. But without the introduction of MDMA, they did not interact with each other. They found kind of a weird side effect where when there was a female in the side compartment, like the one that you choose between that and the toy, there was an effect that the octopus, the test subject octopus, actually explored that side of the enclosure, whether it was male or female. They didn't really know what to make of that, but it could be relevant later on. It's just an interesting finding. So what they did find is once they introduced MDMA, the octopus immediately spent much more time in the enclosure with the other octopus. And beyond that, it engaged in a 8-tentacle hugging behavior in which they embraced each other and just held each other for an extended period of time. And they theorized that this is related to the new finding is that octopus do possess serotonin receptors, mostly the same. Well, I mean, again, not like SR1, like whatever. They have a serotonin receptor that is acted on by MDMA. So therefore, they can be theorized to be experiencing empathy in the same way that human beings might by an exogenous introduction of serotonin, like MDMA or psilocybin, like anything like that, that it can be producing empathy. And this was shown as a finding that these cephalopods are types of cephalopods are like octopus, squids, what's the other one? Cuttlefish, all these things. That they, although they're invertebrates, and invertebrates are traditionally known as not being capable of emotion, this shows that they may actually be capable of emotion. And since cephalopods are the most complex of the invertebrates, it would stand to reason that if an invertebrate was going to have emotion, these would be the ones to do it. Leo, I saw that you were having a thought there. Do you want to share?
Oh, yes. In this study, I read about how they might just touching each other, and it's relating to the sense of touch. I don't know if empathy could be connected to that on some level.
Oh yeah.
And it's interesting, with my experience working in a nursing home for 8 years, a lot of all your senses essentially disintegrate. Your sense of smell, your sense of taste, but the sense of touch remains intact unless the nervous system is damaged in some way. If somebody had a stroke or something like that. So the last thing, in patients with Alzheimer's, touch is, with the elderly people, touch is the only sense of comfort that they also kind of get.
Yeah, I just lost my train of thought there because I looked up the methylene dioxymethamphetamine, because that's what MDMA stands for. Methylene dioxy would be the functional group that is differentiating it from methamphetamine. But it's basically, it's important to understand that MDMA is related to meth, and especially its precursor MDA is potentially neurotoxic. So really you should be taking MDMA rather than MDA, considered sassafras. Point being, MDMA is not necessarily neurotoxic, and it's often used, nowadays it's becoming used in the treatment of PTSD. So that's why they were doing this study, to try to find out what are the conserved mechanisms by which this can have an effect on any species. And specifically, I wanted to make a note that cephalopods, specifically octopus, are just really weird creatures in that their nervous system is not like vertebrates, like mammals. And so I studied them when I was taking neuroscience at the university, and I actually did a lab that we dissected an octopus. And let me tell you, its nervous system's really weird. We're talking, the reason they call it a cephalopod is it is derived from the term cephalization, which is the bundling of nerves together to create a brain. So these are basically some of the simplest creatures that can be considered to have a brain.
They're basically aliens.
They're basically aliens. And we'll talk about their superpowers in just a second.
Check out like all the movies and the videos where the aliens look like, the octopus.
Yeah. Oh, I totally. I love octopuses because they're so alien.
What's his name? Fucking Cthulhu.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe, and Cthulhu, I bet you, has a little connotation of cannibalism. But we'll get to that in just one second.
He devours worlds.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
The whole world.
Yeah, I don't know. What the hell is that? What if there's little tiny octopus living in the world? It's definitely cannibalism.
They're watching us, man. I know the way octopus look at me, I know that they're actually aliens from another planet, and they're secretly controlling the entire universe. What? Where am I?
Cthulhu.
So I just wanted to close that in. They're very weird creatures because, well, if we want to look at it in an ego death kind of way, they literally do not just have one seat of consciousness. They have multiple cephalized parts in that they have one brain in about their midsection. And they also have about, what would it be? So they have a total of 9 brains. So they have 8 other brains in each of their tentacles. What do you think about this stuff?
Okay. Yeah, so I did some random fun facts, and one of them is that... So yeah, they have 9 brains. They have a main brain in like the head area, and then they have 9 or 8 little brains in their tentacles. And
they're just weird creatures.
They're weird. How would that? Yeah, you.
Do you want to say some of the facts on like octopus size, like variation in different species?
Sure. So I got a couple here. The largest octopus species is the giant Pacific octopus. Generally, they go up to 33 pounds and have an arm span of 14 feet. But the largest recorded ever octopus was one of these, and it was 600 pounds and 30 feet across in length.
That is what my nightmares are made of.
Jesus.
That is one big octopus.
Like, imagine swimming through some, like, thalassophobia is a fear of deep water, which from doing some swimming over deep water, I definitely have. Like, that feeling, oh my God. Imagine just getting brushed by a tentacle.
And the thing is, there's bigger things in the ocean.
Imagine being a beach bob.
Oh my God. And literally, well, no, imagine being a beach bob and seeing a giant Tusoteuthis, giant squid surface right off the shoreline.
Yep.
You would get running pretty quick.
Get your spear on, bro.
Get your spear. Hope you got a crossbow instead of just bow and arrow, but either way, you're fucked.
Or in the future, you're doing some deep ocean diving, and like you just stumble upon
oh dear God,
this like giant squid, and you're just like, nope. The other one I had was they have 3 hearts. So they have 2 hearts that are pumping towards the tentacles, and then 1 heart that pumps the rest of
okay,
the
and that
octopus.
makes sense with their separated nervous system that quite literally they have, like, their tentacles are completely independent of the rest of their body, which is why they have cephalization nodes in each, because in many ways they have the mind of their own, because they each have, I mean, it's kind of an extreme way to say it, but they have their own level of consciousness per tentacle that is not necessarily controlled only by the main brain.
Yeah, and you're going to need all that blood flow if you have that many brains.
Yeah, so if this isn't sounding alien enough yet, check this out. Here are some of the superpowers that these crazy fucking aliens have. So, some cephalopods are able to fly through the air for a distance of about 50 meters. While cephalopods are not particularly aerodynamic, they achieve this impressive range by jet propulsion. Water continues to be expelled from the funnel, like around their mouth, while the organism is in the air. The animal spreads their fins and tentacles to form wings and actively controls lift force with body posture. So it's more of like you said, those water jetpacks.
They're like those water jetpacks that people fly. Yeah.
That'd be terrifying. Imagine seeing a giant squid that literally leaps 50 meters out of the water. I can't imagine anything scarier.
That's when you take the baseball bat and you just like, it's coming towards you and just go,
oh my God,
Right.
that's when the sailors just eat cyanide instead of going down with the ship.
Go on your boat and bring a baseball bat.
So additionally, these are just some crafty creatures. These are considered to be the most intelligent invertebrate, the most complex. And they're also considered to be one of the few invertebrates possibly capable of experiencing pain and suffering. That's kind of an aside, but it's related to that like serotonergic system, that they might have just barely complex enough nervous systems that they actually do experience pain and suffering, which is relevant for kind of animal rights laws, because their invertebrates currently are not included in animal abuse. That's just an aside. Speaking of terrifying things that they do, in captivity, cephalopods have also been known to climb out of their aquaria, maneuver a distance on the lab floor, enter another aquarium to feed on the crabs, and then return to their own aquarium, sometimes without anybody knowing. And if that's not creepy enough, they're also chameleons. Like, this is the ultimate predator. Like, it literally must be an alien. Like, it's like tardigrades. Like, they're larger than life, except for tardigrades. They're tiny.
Yeah, we talked about how that was like they don't change themselves. They don't actually like change color. It's like they change their reflection.
Yeah. So here
they stay the
quote on that
same, but yeah.
So it's they're called chromatophores. So their skin is covered in these chromatophores, which detect light and expand or contract to adjust to light conditions. And this is actually independent of the eyes, because cephalopods are all colorblind. So they are not dictating their color changes based on the environment they see. What they do is contract or expand these reflective chromatophores on their skin. So you can think of it like having contractible muscles covering your skin that can reflect light differently depending on how much they're expanded. And it's kind of like muscular. So they're used for camouflage and signaling. And I think a lot of people have seen the video of a cuttlefish that's blended into a piece of, I think it's coral or seaweed. And as the camera pans by, it changes color and returns to its regular hue and just explodes and runs away. So that's kind of the end of our, oh God, there's even one more superpower. Check this out. Certain species of, I think this is more an octopus thing. Well, no, they can all ink actually. But a certain species of cephalopod can add excessive mucus to their ink to release a cloud in the shape of the octopus, creating a functional decoy which a predator will attack while they escape. So it's not just a smokescreen. They literally are intelligent enough to create a cloud that mirrors themselves and allows them to escape.
Another fun fact that I didn't write down but I found was in captivity, if there's not enough stuff around them, they'll get bored and they'll just start eating their own tentacles.
Okay, so here we go. So this is the big reveal. Although the study had its major finding that most likely this is a empathetic kind of serotonergic behavior, it's important to understand that most species of octopus specifically are also cannibalistic. So there's a potential side hypothesis that these may be, in fact, not trying to love on the other octopus, but it's triggering their hunger and is actually putting them into a hunting behavior, and they're actually beginning the embrace of death. That would be to choke out and to cannibalize this other octopus. So that's why we had that bit in the beginning of, I'm really glad when I don't take drugs.
We here at No Bob's Allowed do not support the fact that drugs are not okay.
When I allegedly take drugs with my friends, I am so glad that I never have to worry about them trying to take a bite out of me, because that's more of a bath salts thing in humans. But imagine rolling with your buddies or with a girl you like, and she just starts kind of like nibbling on your arm, and just you realize that she's not trying to love you, she's trying to eat you.
Hey, what are you doing?
And they cannibalize their mates too.
Yeah, the women do.
Yeah, the women do.
Once they're done making babies,
just like the Black Widow spider.
Exactly.
Got to be careful.
So I think we're getting kind of close to the end here, but really this was an awesome episode in that we covered everything that I wanted to, and in finally a reasonable time. I think we've grown a lot from all these episodes, like starting from just talking about what is a Bob and me talking about this game Ark, to meeting Bubba, to having Joe on, to doing the Madison episode and Columbine. What am I forgetting? What was episode 6?
Intern Joe.
What is Zeph? All of these things we've covered, and we've gotten to grow through all of them. So I want to end it on a quote before we really run out of time here. Is there any final thoughts that you guys have?
It's just been a ride. It's been a great growing process. I remember the first time we edited and we all heard each other's voices.
I remember when Leo turned to me and said, "Guys, do I have an accent?"
It's been a roller coaster. On this roller coaster, we had no belts and no supports, and goddamn, I would not have anybody else besides the two of you guys that's holding me down in that roller coaster, keeping me strapped in the seat, you know,
gripping on for dear life
as we're all about to just fly out, you know.
And I mean, what a great episode for me to summarize how I feel about this. I've gotten to the point where I'm so okay with like hearing my own voice it is what it is, and it doesn't bother me anymore. And what a greater episode to like talk about all that other stuff than
God, that's really
have that as
like
a summary.
Even though a lot of this podcast was about me, that's what it really was about, Ty. And I've said since day one that really you are the one that is the podcast, because this has been about you finding your pride and being able to become unstifled and to express yourself in the way that everybody wants you to be. Although, holy shit.
You do realize we're going to have to edit that. No,
yeah, so the one good thing is
line.
that we still have a lot of growth to go, and one of them is Leo's mic is perpetually hot as fuck.
It's a hot mic.
Just wait for the better mics, and then they're really going to be hot as fuck.
Oh, my God. I think that might be hot in a different way, like sexy.
Like sexy.
Let me end out with this quote here, because this is something that's really special to me, and again comes from the Hagakure. And this, I would say, by embodying this, I attributed a lot of my success in life, whether I have any or not. This is where it comes from. How can one human being be inferior to another? In all matters of discipline, one will be useless unless he has great pride. Unless one is determined to move the clan by himself, all his discipline will come to naught. Although, like a tea kettle, it is easy for one's enthusiasm to cool, there is a way to keep this from happening. My own vows are the following: never to be outdone in the way of the samurai, to be of good use to the master, to be filial to my parents, and to manifest great compassion and to act for the sake of man. If one dedicates these 4 vows to the gods and Buddhas every morning, he will have the strength of 2 men and will never slip backwards. One must edge forward like the inchworm, bit by bit. The gods and Buddhas, too, first started with a vow. Prove it. I vow, in my own life, to love myself and to help other people to love themselves and to never stop that. Prove it. All right, y'all. No Bob's Allowed Season 1. Fucking rap party. I got a beautiful bottle of rakia that I brought over from Belgrade that I've been saving for 5 years that me and Leo will have a delicious shot of, and Tyler will get to look on in jealousy. No, it's love for everybody. Good night, everyone. One and all, I say my goodbye to all of you by saying thank you all for listening and for giving me a reason to grow in this way.
We out. Stay tuned for Season 2.
Coming up, No Bob's Allowed.
No Bob's Allowed.